I'm Tim Lambert with the Texas Homeschool Coalition, and I'm here today to talk about some judicial abuse and CPS abuse. We hear about child abuse a lot. We're trying to help the Tutt family who've been involved in a case where their children were wrongly removed as a result of some egregious actions by a CPS worker and her supervisor to cover up, we believe, the wrongful actions of the judge. And the Tutt family friends are here with me. They have been following this from the very beginning in September. Many of them sat in both court hearings, and so they're going to give you some firsthand responses about what happened in the court. Let me just begin by saying that nobody, especially homeschoolers, support child abuse. We don't support child abuse or child neglect. But in this situation, the Tutts, who are a long-time homeschool family, they have adult children, they have adopted children, they have a ministry to the homeless, they help families and children in need, and as a result of a couple of children wandering away briefly, CPS was called. This caseworker came in September and initially said everything seemed fine. She came back on October the 31st and said that she needed psychological evaluation, and the mom gave her a doctor's report. She said she'd check with her supervisor to see if that was sufficient, and if not, she would get back with her. She never came back. She went to a judge for in an ex parte hearing. That means the family's not notified, they're not represented. And in that hearing, she asked the judge for an order to force the mom to take a psychological evaluation. Judge Olvera, who is an associate judge in the 256th District Court, refused that order and instead ordered the children removed. And she had the statute requires that the children have to be in imminent danger. That was not the case. And so what we really have here today is an abuse of children in a family by a judge, and facilitated by a CPS caseworker. And our organization is asking for calls to the governor's office and the legislators who oversee CPS for an investigation of these caseworkers and their supervisor. We think they should be disciplined or removed. And we also think the Judge Olvera, who's appointed in Dallas County, should be removed. So with that, I'm going to introduce some of my friends here and let them give you their side of the story.
I'm Ashley. I'm the oldest child of the Tutts, and I'm married and have my own children. And back in November, I received a phone call from the dad saying, "We need you to go to the CPS office. They've taken our children." And so I got dressed, I flew down there, and I met my mother there, and we went up together. And throughout the course of the meeting with the caseworker, Mom would ask, what can I do? What have I done? And, what are the charges being brought up? And the caseworker said, "I don't know. I have to come up with something to tell the judge because she's going to be mad at me. I don't know." And so Mom continued to try to find out what was going on, and the caseworker wouldn't give her any information. And she told Mom, "You're going to learn not to tell CPS no." And just was of no help, wouldn't let Mom say goodbye to the children, wouldn't let her see them at all. And she said, "Well, what do I need to do to get my children back?" And the caseworker just looked at her, shook her head, and said, "I don't know."
I'm Erica Good, and I was at the January 7th court hearing, and the caseworker testified saying that she knew the mother thought that she was in compliance with CPS requirements. She did nothing. She stated that she did nothing to communicate, to tell the mother that she was not in CPS compliance, and instead she put words into her report to help justify the removal for the children.
My name is Chris Frazier. I'm a family friend of the Tutts. I've known him for 5 years. I attended both hearings. At the first hearing, presided over by Judge Olvera, lasted 12 hours. During that entire time, no evidence supporting the writ of removal was ever discussed, provided, or brought up. Instead, the hearing evolved into a 12-hour attack against the Tutts personally, against their community service, and against the homeschooling of their children.
Hi, I'm Beth. I'm friends with the Tutts as well, and I also attended both long hearings. And the caseworker on the stand said that the home was fine, the children were in danger. She didn't ask for the removal. She just asked that it be clarified that the mother be ordered to comply. And she said she did not communicate that to her at all before going to the judge.
Sure.
My name is Brenda Brown. I'm a neighbor of the Tutts. They live about 4 streets down from me. My children have played in their home. Their children play in my home. This has been a horrific series of events that has happened to the Tutt family. I was at the first hearing. I was supposed to be a witness, but I didn't get an opportunity to present any witness at all. And during the second hearing, I was in the courthouse the entire time, or in the courtroom, I'm sorry. And I think the thing that was most interesting to me at the end of the hearing, Judge Callahan said, we've had several things presented here today, but none of them have warranted removal of the children. So I'm going to return 4 of them. I'm not going to return them all. But even though I'm returning them, you will not be allowed to continue homeschooling until we do some more educational assessments and until we, as a consensus, come to a decision as to what's to happen with these children. And that's where it ended.
I'm Candy Summers. I've known the Tutts for 6 years. And in the 3 weeks since the hearing, there's been no communication from CPS with the family. They have not set up the psych evaluation they were supposed to set up that was court ordered for the parents. They haven't set up any visitation with the children who are still outside the home. And so I feel like this family is still being abused by CPS.
So the bottom line is, I think you can see that we had a situation here where, in fact, in my first posting on this, I said, this reminds me of that old saying, no good deed goes unpunished. And here is a family who is a giving family. They've adopted children. They've been there for families and the homeless. And a caseworker, I believe, to hide her own incompetence, has filed false allegations with the court to support the judge's wrongful taking. So our organization is calling on the governor's office to call on the commissioner of the Department of Family Protective Service to do an investigation on this caseworker and her supervisor. We are calling on the legislator, the Senate committee that oversees CPS, and the House committee that oversees CPS for an investigation. And I believe that Dallas County officials should investigate Judge Olvera. This judge is not an elected judge, she's an appointed judge, and she should be removed for violating the rights of this family and abusing these children as a result of her egregious actions. So I'd be happy at this time to take any questions. If any of you have questions, maybe you're confused or don't understand, or if anybody has questions, I'd be glad to take any.
What's the next step? I mean, are there additional hearings?
Well, the case is ongoing. I think the point that Candy made is on January 7th, Judge Callahan acknowledged that there was nothing that rose to the level of removing the children, but instead of restoring the children, she gave 4 of them back. 1 of them is still in foster care. But the most egregious to us as homeschoolers is that a judge would say, we're going to decide together whether or not you can continue to homeschool. The guardian ad litem in this case actually told the family at one point, I don't see any problem with your family, but if you don't agree not to homeschool, I'm not going to recommend returning the children. And Texas does not have anything close to educational neglect. homeschools or private schools. In fact, the guardian ad litem took a one-year teacher and had her assess these children. We do not believe the assessment of those children was accurate. But even if it was accurate, it does not justify under state law for a judge to refuse to allow that family to homeschool. So I just want to make clear that I've not been in contact directly with the family or their legal counsel. That's the reason we brought these friends here today, so they can tell you what is going on from up to their perspective of the court action. What we think is also egregious is the fact that this happened three weeks ago, the hearing. The judge made these orders, and there's been, from a CPS standpoint, no attempt to do anything the judge required in order to restore this family. So this certainly looks to us like an abuse of power, focused on protecting a judge who made a wrongful action. And frankly, the homeschool community is outraged. When we posted this on our website, we had 40,000 hits in the first 2 days. People are very angry. It's difficult for people to look at this and see what's going on and think, how could this happen in Texas? Texas is noted for our freedom. And so we are going to continue to pursue this from an administrative standpoint and seek an investigation. But from a legal standpoint, the judge's orders stand, and until something happens in that case, the children will be restored. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if homeschool defendants is involved in this at all? Have they been contacted or will they be?
HSLDA is aware of this. They were contacted at the same time we are, and that's all I can tell you. They're aware of the case. Anybody else?
You mentioned we need to contact the governor's office.
Yeah, if you go to our website, THSC.org, and you just do a search for Tutt, T-U-T-T, it'll bring up all the postings, and our posting from yesterday gave a phone number for the governor's office and a phone number for each of the legislators' office. So we're asking people to call those offices and ask for an investigation of CPS. No, this is the CPS is controlled at the state level.
Is this common? Is this common among judges? To have this sort of prejudice against?
Our organization sponsors a continuing legal education seminar annually, and we train family law attorneys to defend innocent families from CPS. We just did one of those in December, and I can tell you from those trainings that this kind of action by judges is not uncommon. Now, what's uncommon in this case is that they would make homeschooling such a central part, and they would attack homeschooling and this family's ability to homeschool. But unfortunately, it's not uncommon for judges to take this type of action. In fact, our organization has started a new page on our website called the Texas Judicial Wall of Shame. And we post these judges and we tell people about the kinds of actions they're taking.